Hello, welcome back to my channel, and today we're taking a look at the casting of Frank Stone, a game from September 2024. And, well, it is from the world of the Dead by Daylight, and this is a demo version of the game. Now, one reason for this, if you actually Google the casting of Frank Stone performance, high-end rigs, you're gonna stumble upon miles of Reddit threads, about 10 or 15 pages of Steam community people literally telling that it just doesn't run well, no matter the hardware, and there's about, I would want to say, a handful of people with top-of-the-line rigs who are saying, well, it runs fine on my rig, 60 FPS all around, no matter the settings. So, we're gonna take it for a little test. I honestly do not expect this to go any other way than anyone else, but we're gonna do it anyway. So, first and foremost, we're going with a 2K native, full screen, no vertical sync. And for the graphics, we're going with the ultra preset on everything. So that means volumetric quality, texture quality, the VRS or variable rate shading is going to be turned off, just so it doesn't impact and accidentally give us more performance. Depth of field can only be put to medium, no dynamic resolution. No motion blur, no film grain, because I know you guys hate these two options. And we are going with the DLSS DLAA option for anti-aliasing, so that is deep learning anti-aliasing, which should smooth all the jagged edges of everything else. And technically it should be much crisper than TSR, but people say that FSR is actually giving them a bit more performance and actually very similar, if not better, eye candy. We'll see how that works out for us. In terms of lighting, we're going with an ultra preset, and ray tracing is going to be off, because even on this screen where nothing is happening, you can see that GPU is at 97-98% and we're having 54 frames. So I want to see how bad it's gonna go. So let's go. Before we jump into the game itself, the minimum requirements for these games are as follows. The CPU should be Intel Core i5-8400 with at least GTX 1080 for the GPU. And recommended CPU is i5 12th gen and at least with RTX 3070. So we do have i9 99K and 4070 Ti, and the game is running off from NVMe drive. So we should be relatively good, I think. Now, last time I tried to play this game was obviously today, but I also tried it when the demo first hit back in September. The thing is, back then I only had i5 96K and it ran terribly. We're talking low 30s at best. So honestly, I kind of think that 6 cores and no hyperthreading was not really doing it. Also, I was trying to push it in 4K, so you know, probably that was also a downfall. So I'm kind of hopeful that 99K and 4070 and 2K will bring back things in order. However, we're gonna double check it all before, because people say you should be using DLSS. FrameGen doesn't work for the demo, and they have no idea because the game apparently doesn't even look that good apart from the faces. So anyway, I'm gonna shut up. Let's just jump in and let's start with the new save as an observer and see where we get, because I do like when community comes together and shares their experience with the game performance. Kind of makes me smile a little bit, because it means someone still cares. And Dead by Daylight is a pretty notorious game, so to say. So obviously, you know, if the player base is taking their time to write about it, then it must be true. Or not. We'll see it for ourselves.
Of a timeless power, infinite in knowledge, voracious in hunger. The entity. A realm so close to ours, but always out of reach. Until I found him. Frank Stone. My key. My killer. I am Augustine Lieber. And I'm about to change our worlds forever.
Right, so the pre-rendered cutscene was actually giving us 85-ish frames, so technically might be a bit hopeful, but then again, this is not a real-time cutscene. This, however, is a real-time cutscene, because I can see how the light is just being slightly adjusted of the corner of the monitor. So this is not a pre-rendered one, at least in my opinion so far. I'm gonna have a look-see here. I got to say the facial models are actually pretty decent though.
I'm assuming you're the night watchman here.
I am.
Or just you? Covering the entire site?
Oh, no. I got help.
Where are they now? On duty?
Mother Manor. Merlin just goes where he pleases.
Merlin.
Our dog. Doberman Pinscher. Best friend a fella could ask for. Loyal to the seventh horn sounds. Trust him more than I trust myself.
Right, let's make a choice and get the ball rolling. So far we are sub 60. We're gonna have some dialogue options. I don't exactly care about the story progression because this is a demo.
Call me Tom.
And overall, this is a game made in Unreal Engine 5. So to be fair, visually I must say it does look good.
Boy, right?
Like you can clearly see it looks better than your average game engine out there. I
This
guess the
mill
closest
is a big
comparison to an extent could
Biggest
possibly
in
be a
all
Unity
City Hills.
engine. CryEngine
don't
might
make
be
no
somewhere in
difference.
between these two, but
Ain't no funny business going
in general
on
kind of
around
looks a
here.
little bit of a
Not
run-of-the-mill
under mine and
Unreal
Merlin's noses.
5 to be fair when you look at the shading, but it is how it is.
Are you sure?
And obviously this is more like a movie type of
It's a big
interaction. You will
job,
get
yes,
to walk
sir.
around and you will have to
But
find
ain't the
clues and stuff,
magnitude of
but
the
it's
labor
not the main
that
point.
keeps a man
Well,
alert
it kind
and
of is
ready
the
for
main point,
action.
but the point is this is not actual game world which you can explore by yourself. So let's just disapprove his drinking because the arrow was there,
Drinking, Tom?
Just a little nightcap.
and we're just
Nightcaps
gonna go
usually
from there.
happen before a nap. This a regular habit?
Regular? Oh, no, not regular. More sort of medication. Taken only in time of need.
How often is that?
That what you come out here for? To give a veteran a hard time about his medicinal practices?
No. I'm here because a child is missing. And every minute wasted is another chance gone to find him.
Boy, you ain't gonna find him here. I'd know it in my bones if that boy were within a mile of this mill.
Yeah, okay, let's go with this.
All the same, I'd like to take a look around.
You wanna do my job for me? Be my guest.
Thank you for your help, Tom.
Alright, so finally we are out. Obviously there's other paths you can take in terms of dialogues and you will have a different reaction. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, you can play it yourself. I'm more interested about getting out there and actually having the character in control so we can have a look around, see what we got. So far, based on the MSI metrics, everything is working as it should, but the happy numbers are nowhere happy. And this is in 2K resolution, so technically, yeah, Unreal Engine, even though might not be the most cooperative engine when it comes to performance, and you need pretty beefy CPU specifically to actually crunch the numbers, I was kind of expecting at least 55 to 60 rather than 40-ish, but it is what it is. Outside of that, honestly, well, it does look pretty decent, actually. Right, so what do we have? The ray tracing is disabled, but as you can see, the light scattering and the actual flashlight looks pretty decent. We're pulling 8.3 gigs of video memory, GPU usage 98%, pulling 11 gigs of RAM, almost 12, and we're around 40-ish frames, which honestly is not that terrible, all things considered. This is not a high competitive game type of game, I guess, so it's more about exploration and visual details, and honestly it kind of looks good. Like, just look at this train and how the shadows go in and move around when you move the flashlight. I mean, this is definitely worth of immersion. Now, dropping down as low as 46 frames is not usually part of the deal when you play games, unless, you know, I could understand this type of performance in 4K. 4070 Ti, depending on the game, can or cannot achieve that target. But yeah. What's this? Right, 44. Now, when it comes to the things that people on the internet say, they mostly say that you need DLSS enabled, because even with that, you might actually have some dips. So what I think we're going to be doing, we're going to enable DLSS and go from DLAA, which is a native resolution of 2K, we're going to just go to, let's say, quality, and see if that improves things. Because I do trust the internet to a point, so to say, so let's just go with other way, which is the quality, and let's, yeah, we can't lock it anymore. Okay, fair enough. And we are kinda 60-ish, but if you notice, the world just lit up like a Christmas tree. No more darkness, and the train started to shimmer, because obviously now the image is downsampled and upscaled up again, essentially half of it, and that's the quality, which does make it feel a bit more responsive given the extra frames that we acquired, but everything else kinda does look washed out. You know, as much as I am an advocate for DLSS, and I use DLSS in majority of my gameplay, specifically when streaming, yeah, I can't really, you know, justify things like that. Stuff only. Right, okay. So, let's throw in frame gen as well and see what happens. People say the frame gen does not work in this game, so I wonder if that's gonna be the case. And surprisingly enough, we actually lost frames instead of getting frames. Odd. Truly, truly odd. Right. Let's try to squeeze out a little bit of performance out of this. So, no frame gen. Let's take the shadows to medium, reflections to high, GI quality to high, volumetric to high, textures can be ultra, depth of field no matter. And technically now, if we leave it as it is and it doesn't crash, we should be getting a bit better performance. And as you can see, everything looks even worse. However, we are at 75 frames. Look at all this floating, jagged mess. Can you see, like, the tire and the pallet? You see the moving picture? I'm literally not even moving anything myself. Wow. Once again, the internet has won.
I can get in through there.
The internet has won. Yeah, well, I have literally lost a little bit of faith here and there. Let's put everything back how it was. And a little bit of morphing around remains, even though we technically are back on the previous settings. And we're even lower in terms of frames, dropping below 30 frames now. The visual eye candy is gone. It might just be because the game does not take kindly for adjusting settings on the fly. Quite a few games actually do that. Sometimes restarting the game kind of kickstarts the shading process and the textures back of where it should be, specifically when it comes to light tracing for certain calculations. But yeah, honestly, like, now I don't even see the point of this game actually being this resource heavy. 36 frames, and there's literally just nothing here. Reflections are gone. Well, technically reflections are there, but I don't know. Like, I hope the finished goods are running better than the demo. The main gripe for people was in regards to the demo itself, and I just wanted to take it for a spin, and honestly, wow, this is exactly as they said it's gonna be. But overall, the atmosphere is kind of good, though. I can't really say that, you know, the atmosphere is bad or it's lacking something. It is a warehouse, it is an actual mill. This is actually essentially how it looks like. Not sure about those holes in the roof, but oh well, who am I to judge? I should be looking for clues, but I'm kinda looking more for frames. So yeah, it is how it is. Friday the 13th, of course. That's who's coming to work there, which probably is the Frank himself. Since based on the intro we saw that the dog was seeing Frank, I would assume that's Frank walking around there. Very subtle. Right. Well, I don't know. I think you guys seen enough. The rumors of the internet is
Anyone
true.
here? It's police.
But yeah, to play this game on these settings, I mean, it's playable. Technically, I would want to say, you know, perhaps even dropping it down to like 30 frames locked would kind of give you a little bit of a cinematic console type experience. But as you can see, these little spikes in the frame time, it kind of results in a little tiny stutter here or there. So I wouldn't want to say that, you know, this is just out of nowhere, so to say. Clearly not something I'm a fan of, but it is how it is. So let's just drop down the settings to, let's say, high all the way. Keep the DLA on and hope for the best. Dynamic resolution is off as well, VRS is off. Maybe this is the ticket home, who knows. And we did gain some frames again. and the blur is back. As you can see, that faint reflection, the shadows on the wall are now all blurry and moving. So yeah, that's where the shadow quality comes into play in regard to setting of high or ultra, which is how it is.
Who's there?
Well, there is someone there, and that someone is not being caught by the groundskeeper.
Ugh, smells like death.
Can I climb over? Of course I cannot. Well, at least we have slightly more frames, and, you know, graphically, again, unless you are chasing the graphical high, I would say this is a bit more playable than 35 frames. Then again, mileage may vary, and probably it will vary a lot.
Hey, mister.
That's Officer Green.
Sure. You haven't seen Merlin, have you?
No, sorry. Ugh.
You all right there?
Ugh. Yeah, it's just... Jesus, you don't smell that?
Sniffer's out of commission. Got a little too up close and personal with a can of mustard gas back in the trenches.
Ah.
It can be a blessing in disguise.
Ugh. Gotta find out where it's coming from.
What's it smell like?
Nothing good.
Well, there's your plot twist. But anyway, I'm gonna leave you guys with this. So essentially we ended up with high settings all around. And at least we got a little bit of frames, but all this jagged stuff, the floating, wobbly things we see right now on the screen, that's, I guess, there to stay unless you pay too close attention to it. Just don't. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Over and out.